Okay, embossing video number 2. What I'm going to do on this card is I'm going to give these strawberries some dimension. This time what you're going to need is embossing pad inker. This is just the loose liquid, it's not a dauber. So just open that up, and then you're going to need some ultra thick embossing enamel, UD once again, and a thin paintbrush. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip my paintbrush into that embossing liquid, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this strawberry, and I'm basically just using the embossing liquid as a paint. This is a really simple technique, and it's awesome because it makes your projects look so neat. And I use this technique on my candy corn paper in my mini Halloween album. Okay, so do that, grab your embossing tray, pour the UD over it, let it sit for just a second so it'll soak up all that UD, and dump it over. And you can see where I did the liquid, and then you're just going to heat set it. This is really simple, and it's just looks really cool. So you can heat this a lot and make it perfectly smooth, or you can make it bumpy. I'm going to make mine bumpy so it matches the texture of the strawberry. Okay, so now I have a strawberry with some dimension and shine, so it looks really appetizing to me. And then what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and do the rest of them. Okay, so there is my finished strawberry card. Doesn't that look really neat? Makes me want to eat strawberries. Hope you enjoyed that technique. I'm going to work on the next one now. Here's an ACT card that I did a while back, and it has a silver embossing, sort of looks like an airbrush look, so that's what I'm going to show you next. So this time what you're going to need is your clear embossing gloss dauber, and pattern paper, and whatever color embossing powder you like. The metallics I think work the best for the airbrush look. And then you're also going to need a really soft, stipply paintbrush. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your dauber and you're just going to rub it around the areas that you want the embossing powder to be. You could do straight lines, it's not going to matter because I'm going to show you how to get that airbrush look. So just put it around there. You can even put it all over the card. And you want to do this pretty thin. You don't want it to be thick, but you want it to be covered. So don't daub, just rub. Then put it on your tray. Pour your silver embossing powder or whatever color you chose over the piece of paper. And do this pretty generously. You want to make sure that's nice and covered. Tap it, get it all off there. And now here is the neat little trick. What you do is you take your brush and you just sort of stipple in whatever pattern or whichever way you like, and then just tap the back and get that extra powder off. And you can clean it up a little bit by brushing. When you're stippling this is what's going to make it do that sort of airbrushed faded look. And I just dipped my brush in there because I missed a spot right here, so I'm applying powder now. Just tap that, and I'm going to take a little extra off this corner. So see how blotchy that is? That's what it's going to look like when you melt it as well. So, got my metal tool here, and I'm going to heat set it. I'm focusing less on the center because that's where I don't want the embossing powder too much. And whatever didn't melt, I'm going to brush off with my brush. Okay, so take that brush and brush off whatever didn't melt. And now you've got this really neat metallic airbrushed kind of look. Isn't that neat? This is a technique that I use quite a bit, and you always want to do this over patterned paper just because it looks really neat. Okay, now I'm on to the next technique. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do the water spot technique. What you're going to need for this is UD once again, and then your clear embossing liquid. Just take your paintbrush, dip it in your embossing liquid, and then just make little water spots on the card, all different sizes so it looks real. I'm only going to do it in this little corner because I want to be able to show you some more techniques on this video. And I don't want to run out of time. Okay, and then you're just going to pour your embossing powder over that, as usual, and heat set it. And sometimes the cardstock is a little too absorbent, so you have to go and you have to put thicker drops. And that's what just happened to me. Okay, that should be good. Yeah, that worked out good. Okay, and now you're going to heat set it. And to get this really bubbly, you're going to keep dipping it in that powder. Just like you've seen me do on some other videos. And I like really thick, glossy stuff. Okay, so now you have that wet water spot look. And for the next technique, I'm just going to show you that right now. And this is how to make water spots on your flowers. And it's the same exact idea, only you're going to use a more generous amount of embossing liquid. So just take it and drop it on your flower. See, I'm dropping pretty generous sized water drops on there. So just get it until you have that desired amount and pour your UD over it. Let it set there for a few seconds and then dump it out. Hold it down with your metal tool and heat set it. And I'm going to dip this a couple more times because I like it real thick. And you could put smaller size drops to make it look even more realistic. I did pretty big ones here. Okay, so there's a wet, realistic looking flower. I'm going to show you how to only emboss high points of a pressure embossed paper. You're going to take your dauber and you're just going to go over it real gently on the embossed paper, and then you're going to take your powder into the tray and you're just going to smooth it out real thin on that tray, just like that. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to lay that paper in there and you're just going to press on it slightly, very gently, and then lift that paper up. And now most of that embossing powder is just on the high points of the paper. and then you just heat set it. This is a really dark red. It melts and it ends up looking a lot like blood. So I don't use this embossing powder too often, but I wanted you to be able to see how it grabs the high points. Okay, so now you've got this shiny embossed pattern on your paper, which is really neat, and this looks kind of Christmassy. Thanks, guys.